If there is anything to take away from last weekend, maybe it's time we start judging quality of wins a little more. Maybe some teams do benefit from playing lesser competition, and thus when they play real competition, these things matter. And if nothing else, let this be a glaring reminder, because I saw it floating around on Twitter last week. Let this be a glaring reminder. Just because you have a better winning percentage doesn't mean you deserve home field advantage. Win your division. Divisions matter. Division rivalries matter. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Roll the intro. Hello everybody and welcome to the divisional round of the 2024 and 2025 NFL season and my prediction picks. I'm your host Catherine and you are on the Blind Canadian Cat YouTube channel. I say meow, I roll intros, and I talk football. Cause no matter what my recent shit posts and uploads be, if there's one thing I love talking football. And I hope whoever is watching these, whether it be now or in the future, I hope that you can ascertain that this is something I love doing. Because I do. I absolutely love talking football. And I've definitely noticed over the years that, don't get me wrong, I have a favorite team. I do, without a doubt. But I am a lover of football in all aspects. I love all these players. I love a lot of these coaches. I love the rivalries. I just love football. And if nothing else, I love parody. I love when new faces get time to shine. I love when those we aren't used to seeing, or the unexpected, or if someone hasn't been here in a while and is now making moves. I love seeing that. I love seeing different faces every year. Who are the new faces? Who will shine? Who will go somewhere you don't ever expect? And I love that very, very much. Either way, let's get into my picks as we wind down to 3 videos left in the NFL season. So let's take a recap over to last week. I'll lean this way, because why not? Again, always want to mix it up. Last week, clearly I did not see the vision. I did not. Going 2-4 straight up and 1-5 against the spread. Now, I will say, the one upset I did pick, obviously was a long shot upset, and turns out it didn't happen. That being said, had they not been injured, based on the way that game was going, I could have had a legitimate claim, but injuries happen. And it was just, I don't want to say Philly got lucky, but Philly's rust was Philly dealing with rust and nonchalance came against the right opponent. A team that kept getting injured, lost their guard, lost all their receivers, and it happens. A lot of the playoffs is luck. Yeah, you can be a great team, but another team takes an injury here or two that you don't expect them to take, and you have an advantage. It happens. It happens. No hate. But it is what it is. And then, everyone, apparently in our group saw Commanders coming except me. I was still riding the Baker hype train. And I'd argue that, maybe I had a point. The Commanders went for on 4th down, I think, 5 times, and went, 3 for 5, I think, on them. So, you can see that cool statistic about them never punting. But, when you go for it on 4th down 5 times, there's no point to have a punter. And shout out to the kicker for DC, who, I didn't know this, but apparently has OCD, and that's why you saw him messing with his sock a couple of times, saw some cleats, saw him messing with his hair a couple of times. It's an OCD trait. It's compulsory. It's things have to be right. If you don't know what OCD is, things have to be right, or else everything feels like it's falling apart. I'm not diagnosed with it, and so this is definitely me talking out of my ass, but I also like to think I have a hint of it in certain places. Again, I'm not diagnosed, and I could be talking out my ass, and if I am, I apologize, but I always felt like a part of me had it. So, a relation. I don't know. Again, I'm probably just talking out my ass, so yeah, sorry. But yeah, and then the Vikings collapse, which again could probably be ascertained to the fact that they didn't really beat anyone worth the damn. You can't really hold the San Fran win against them. San Fran didn't play well all year. Blowing out the Texans, whatever. Credit to the Texans last week. And I'm trying to think of all their other wins worth a damn. Being Green Bay, meh. They lost to Detroit, and they lost to LA. So, happens once, happens again. So, ultimately, in the end, there's nothing to say there. But Minnesota, you got some questions. Probably first one being O-line. But I guess we'll see what happens this offseason. Anyway, enough yapping about last week. Let's get into this week. Again, only 4 games, and unlike Justin, I don't have the analytics. I'm not looking up this stuff. I'm going off vibes. I'm going off what my eyes see, and I'm going off of just what I feel. And, I mean, spoiler, obviously, because it's the last game as far as scheduling goes, but I'm not wearing all this gear for nothing. I'm not. In fact, I have my, the Marlin jersey ready for Sunday when the game comes on, so I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna hide that. So, spoiler for that one when that comes up. But let's get to these other 3 games first, shall we? First one, Texans, amazing win. Defense. I know the Texans' defense deserved a lot of credit going into that game, which is why I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game. I didn't see that. Justin Herbert threw 3 picks all regular season, threw 4 in the play. I didn't see that coming. And even with Houston's offense turning the ball over 3 times themselves, I think it was 3. Even with that, you still won by double figures. So credit to you, Houston. Credit to that team. It was impressive. Now, how much momentum do they have going into next week? Going into Arrowhead to play Chiefs. They played them like 3-4 weeks ago in a game that was, I think, about to be tied at one point with that Tank Dell touchdown when he got hurt. But then, extra point got missed, and then again, I didn't really watch that game, so I don't know, but it seemed like momentum and just the energy from Houston just kind of went out the door after that injury. So now they get another chance for them in Arrowhead, still without Tank Dell, still without Stephon Diggs. Gotta hope that these guys, the John Mechie's, the Robert Woods, can step up, so that way Nico Collins can, have a chance. But, keeping it short and simple, the Chiefs, we can say what we want about the regular season. It was definitely one of the most questionable performances you could have, or like the way they were winning close games and the way they were definitely lucking into certain positions. They're very comparable to the 2020 Steelers. Absolutely, they are absolutely comparable to the 2020 Steelers. So when you see that, it's how much momentum do they have? How much luck do they have? And what's going to come into this game? But I'm just going to say the same thing like I said at the back end of the Brady Patriots run. Don't value the regular season. Yeah, this time they got lucky by winning every damn game, but they weren't trying. They weren't. They don't care. It's the regular season, and they just proved last year that they could be a 3 seed, go into Buffalo, win that game, go into Baltimore, win that game. Those are the 2 teams they got to worry about. They don't care about everyone else in the league. They don't. That's why they let Buffalo win the regular season game every year. It doesn't matter. They can go into Buffalo and win that game. They don't care. They don't care. So when I see this game, it's a Texans team who's never won a divisional game. That's going to break eventually. With CJ starting to make around, I definitely think that's going to break eventually. But against this Chiefs team, I just don't see it. I just don't. The Chiefs have always been good in the playoffs since the Patrick Mahomes era. They're never one and done. They always play well. They always do. So it's no surprise that I expect them to do well here. Chiefs to win. This part of me wants to give Houston respects in certain aspects, but I just think the Chiefs are a whole other tier, and I'm not really gonna put too much into it. I could very well see this game Chiefs dominate early just to remind everyone, hey, we're the Chiefs. We're going to do what we've always been doing. They're going for a 3-peat here. And with a 3-peat, you really got to be on your A game. There's no time to screw around, blah, blah, blah. So I imagine they'll be fine. Worthy's fine. They have Hopkins. Kelsey, will turn on the playoffs. He finished his last regular season game. He had like 8 or 9 catches, I think. If memory serves me, I could be completely wrong here, but they'll be ready. I imagine they'll be slow. Again, they haven't played since Christmas. They arrested all the players week 18. So what? You're looking at over 3.5 weeks now since they last played. So do I expect rust? Yes. Do I expect this game to be probably tight and competitive in the first half? Yeah, probably. Chiefs take care of business in the second half. I think once they're finally comfortable, and it could very well happen in the second quarter too. But I expect the Chiefs to take care of business. 8.5 is a scary spread to take in a divisional round for the playoffs. I expect them to handle business. I really do. I think 8.5 is very gettable. Total in the game set at 41.5. Yes, these are two great defenses, but I just think, again, playoff Chiefs, there's something to them. It's the extra gear that they find, and I wouldn't be shocked if Casey puts up 27, 30 points, 33 points, 36, 37. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs did that to this Texans defense. I wouldn't. It's always the extra gear they find in the playoffs. So yeah, Chiefs win, Chiefs cover over the 41 points. Give me like a 33-17 game. Absolutely. I think the Chiefs take care of business. No disrespect to the Texans, but I just think playoff Chiefs, it's a whole nother level. So you got to give them that. I think 8.5 is gettable. Now if it were near 10 or above 10, I'd be skeptical just from a betting prediction standpoint. But in reality, Chiefs should win this game 2 touchdowns easily. Honestly. On to the next game. Shout out to the Washington Commanders for pulling off that win and winning their first playoff game since 2005 season, 2006. I had to have been elementary, maybe kindergarten at that time. Maybe not even school yet. I don't remember off the top of my head, but first win in almost 20 years, so it's momentum. It's the start. This DC team, they have no fucks. They see what Dan Campbell's doing, so they're gonna go for a 4th down. They got a quarterback they believe in. Terry McLaurin finally has faith. De'Ami Brown steps up. Zach Ertz steps up. Bobby Wagner is a leader in the locker room, galvanizes the defense. This is a DC team. They have leaders, they have momentum, and the future is bright. Pan over to Detroit. This is a Detroit team grabbing Dan Campbell. 3-13 year 1, 9-8 year 2. It's 11 wins and into the playoffs. And win the division. And now they're here, 15-2. This is the year of the Detroit Lions. And even with the gods striking that defense over and over and over again, they find ways. Playing second stringers, they shut down Minnesota. Aiden Hutchinson's been gone since week 5, week 6. Still doing their thing. I don't want to sleep on the defense. Yes, there were games where they've given up 30+, 40+. I don't want to sleep on them. Trading for Zadarius Smith it gives them something. The Amik something, I forget his last name, Amik something, he's making plays. Kirby Joseph, yes, he's a safety that gets burned from time to time. He makes picks. It happens. Terrion Arnold's coming into play. Alex Anzalone's back from injury. This team, it's a team of destiny thing. It's the vibes, the aura, the everything is coming together for this Detroit team. And I think they handle business. DC, it's no shade. It was a fun run. No one's expecting you to be here. You have nothing to lose in this game. So I'm expecting Dan Quinn and DC to go all out. Maybe my boy Marcus Mariota gets another rep and looks great. Things are looking up for the Commanders. But this is the Lions. The Lions have been building this for years. They were in the NFC Championship game last year, and now they have the chance to host it. They're going to take care of business. David Montgomery coming back, I'm not sure where to feel about that. Maybe you give him another week, but hey, if he's good to go, he's good to go. So you got to give him credit there. This is the Lions. If the Commanders can drop 40 on them, then maybe this is a game. And just looking at the total alone, they're expecting a lot to happen in this game. But this is the Lions. Everything points to them. And it just feels like their moment. This is their moment. And I think they take it. I think they do. I got the Lions winning this game. And again, they also have the same spread. They're also looking at 8.5-point favorites of the Commanders. Now, I will give the Commanders credit for them to cover. This has to be a high-scoring affair. For the Texans to cover 8.5 with the Chiefs, it has to be a low-scoring affair. For the Commanders to do it, it's got to be a high-scoring affair. And while I do think DC can score some points, I don't think they can keep pace with Detroit. Not this year. Not. And it's no shade to throw at everyone, but there are levels to this, and the Lions are a level or two above the Commanders. So I'm taking the Lions. Give me them to cover the 8.5 that they're laying as well. Now again, this total is very, very telling. Total is set at 55.5. Which, if you remember, the Lions-Vikings game 2 weeks ago was at like 56.5. And it only got to 40 because the Vikings could not cash in. The Vikings had struggle scoring all game long. And I don't want to say the Commanders will be in that same position. I think they will still be competitive in this game. But I just don't think they'll have the same momentum, the same carryover. And again, if you're going to go for it on 4th down 5 times in that game, going for a 4th down multiple times in this game, I don't think you're going to get as many conversions. I don't think you're going to be as lucky. And Dan Quinn's going to do the same thing. I think for the sole purpose of there being probably 6 4th down conversion or 4th down attempts between both teams, maybe even 7, they're not going to hit all of them. So you're going to miss out on some points because you're getting greedy. So that's why I think this game goes under. Just because both coaches are going to be overly aggressive and it's going to backfire a couple times. They're not going to get all of them. They're going to miss some. So with that, I think it stays under. So, Lions to win, Lions to cover. Give me the under on the 55.5. I'm thinking, in all honesty, in all legitimacies, give me the Lions like 31, Commanders 20. So you still get a high-scoring game. You still get a lot of points. But 55.5 is just too much for me. And I still think the Lions are, I would say, even 2 tiers better than DC. Not just 1 tier, 2 tiers. Lions are ready to win a Super Bowl this year. DC's playing with house money all the way through. Going into the third game, the other NFC game, the Eagles hosting the Rams. Obligatory fuck you to that Eagles fan that got caught on tape. I feel no sympathy for you losing your job. I feel no sympathy. I'm all for competitiveness, I'm all for rivalries, and I'm all for shit talking. You don't say the shit you say that he said. I don't care who you are. Hell no. Hell no. I feel no sympathy for what happened to you. None. But Eagles host another playoff game. They get to host the Rams coming off an emotional win. And I think that should be the headliner here too, specifically. The Rams. Everything going on with the LA Fires. Everything going on there. All the emotion packed in as they're trying to play a game because, you obviously want to win one for the city. Win one, especially for everything going on. The emotional baggage they're carrying. And I think that carried heavily into this game, which is why the pass rush specifically played so well. 9 sacks. Like, don't get me wrong, that's a good pass rush. But I think they were also aided with the fact that, there's an emotional aspect to it. They were playing with pride, they were playing with heart, playing with love for the city. And I think that played a huge role in LA dominating Vikings the way they did. And how much of that is going to carry on against an Eagles team who, one of us has to say it, and I'll say it, they were rusty. Jalen Hurts was rusty. The offense didn't look great. Saquon got plenty of opportunities, and he made some with some of it, but not all of it. So it's this Eagles team, rusty, shaky, unbalanced, and they got lucky against a Packers team who was injured and kept shooting themselves in the foot. So, can the Eagles shake that rust off? I think they can. But I think it's something to pay attention to. Philly was not the Philly we know. Their defense was fantastic. But again, Green Bay was injured. They lost a lot of receivers. Jordan Love was Brett Favre all over the place. It's something to pay attention to. So I think the real storyline is, are Philly's red flags from the rust and inconsistency the real thing to watch out for? And the Rams' emotional baggage, because that was an emotional game for them. A very emotional game for the Rams. So which of these are going to interlock in this game, and I think one of those is going to outweigh the other. And realistically, if there's anything I've noticed from the playoffs, anything I've noticed from watching football in general, when you're coming off emotional highs and exhilarations in a game, that next week they tend to crash over and crash out. And it's because of that reason specifically I'm taking the Eagles to win this game. Do I think the Eagles are a better team? Yeah. Do I still think the Eagles' domination of the Rams, back in October or November, however long ago that game was, do I still think about that? Yeah. Saquon will probably... I'm not going to say Saquon goes for, 250 he ran for in that game? He's not going to do that. This Rams front line's better, and the mentality around the Rams is much better than it was back then. But I like the Eagles in this game. I do think they're a real team, and I've been saying the Eagles are one of the top 3 teams in the NFC, and now with all the other ones out, it's Philly and Detroit. That's what we're all looking for. That's what we all want, and that's I think we're all going to get. So give me Philly in this game. Though I will say, of the 4 games, Ravens-Bills, we'll talk about that in a moment. Ravens-Bills is a 50-50 game. That game could legitimately go either way, and no one's going to think twice about it. And the spread says that too. It's been a 1-point spread, and it's gone back and forth between who should be the favorite in that game. Chiefs over the Texans, Lions over the Commanders. Those are more than a touchdown favorite in those games. So it's very clear that the home team should win those games handily. And the Ravens-Bills is 50-50. Eagles-Rams is the one game where it's like, if you want to talk about upset alert, it's there. If any team should fear being upset, it's the Eagles and the Rams. Ravens-Bills 50-50, so even if the betting underdog wins that game, I'm not calling it an upset, because it's a 50-50 game. Eagles, which is interesting enough, they're favored by 6.5 in this game. And it's just, to me, I can't do it. Because this Rams team, I feel like, has earned the respect to, being a better game. If this was like a 4.5, I wouldn't have said much. But at 6.5, I don't want to sleep on this Rams team. I don't. I can't. I think they can make this game interesting. And a lot of it is solely because of where is Philly at mentally. Because last week didn't tell me much. Last week said, you're obviously a better team on paper, and Green Bay kept shooting themselves in the foot. Rams aren't going to shoot themselves in the foot. Matthew Stafford, experienced veteran. Sean McVay, one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL. Still. Like, you are not going to dance around this team. At least not like the way you did in the regular season. So for that reason, I can't lay 6.5 here. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't feel confident doing that. So with that, I'm taking the Rams to cover. Now, as far as upset picks go, like, I thought about it. And the only reason I'm picking the Eagles to win is mostly because I think the Rams are going to crash down after the emotional performance that they had. So it's one of those, it adds up. Also, even though they were the home team, they did travel to Arizona, had to travel back, and now you're traveling all the way to Philadelphia. On a short week, you're going from a Monday to early Sunday, which I mean, I guess is a regular blah, 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 but it doesn't matter. But I think this Ram team deserves credit and respect, and that is why I'm picking them to cover. Total of the game's at 44.5. 44 is a tricky number because, again, this Eagles defense I think is really good. And the Rams' front 7 showed me something in the Minnesota game. So I think these are 2 really good defenses. I'm very excited to see how this Rams pass rush does against that Philadelphia O-line. I'm excited for that. And then the Nakobe Dean injury for Philadelphia. How much will that affect them? They got a lot of great pass rushers, great front 7 people as well. So it's just some guy's going to get more minutes now than the other one, or more snaps, I should say. But I think it means something. I think it'll affect them in a way. But 44.5, it's such a perfect number here. But my mind just says it's going to go over. It just has this something says it'll sneak over. This game has 24-21 written on it. Or like 26-20. Either way, I think it's a close game. I think it's a competitive game. I like the Eagles to win because it is hard to go into Philadelphia and win a playoff game there. I don't care what anyone says. It is hard. Those fans, chaotic, aggressive aside, will boo anything, even their own team, when they don't like what they're doing. Philly fans are no joke. So it is hard to go into Philadelphia. So I'm giving the Eagles to win. Rams to cover 6.5. Give me over 44.5. I like 24-21. I really do. Just barely over. Just barely over. And then one more game. The game that I'm sure all of us are waiting for, including Tony Romo, who's probably losing his goddamn mind that he got this game. But the battle of what is probably going to be the top 2 in MVP voting for this year, when the Ravens go to Buffalo to play the Bills. And I won't lie, I'm biased. I know I'm biased. But it's ignoring bias aside. There's also just a feeling, and I know I'm not the only one that is feeling this, because a lot of people I talk to, there's just a different feeling in the air. And I'm not talking about the Week 4 game. I don't care about that. That means nothing to me. That's Week 4. NFL, it's a new thing with the preseason and shit. The first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, I don't want to care. I don't want to know that. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. New game, 2 different teams. Everyone, for the most part, is relatively healthy. I haven't seen anything about it yet, but Zay Flowers is still probably not going to be able to ready play for this game. So it's still going to be Rashad Bateman. It's still going to be Andrews, likely Nelson Aguilar, maybe Devontae Walker, I think his name is, get some reps. Apparently they want to throw Steven Sims in, though his special team shit was bothering me last week. The way he juggled that first one and then just kept avoiding it for a couple. It bothers me. It bothers me. But the Bills, I'm not going to say much about them. Denver was a good team. Not a great team, but a good team. So to see the game being close in the first half and Buffalo running in the second half, it was expected. Denver had a great defense and a respectable rookie with nothing to lose. And they played aggressive. They played aggressive. So, it doesn't surprise me that the Bills were slow early and then went on a run in the second half. Ravens aren't going to start slow. Now, the snow, I don't know if there's going to be snow, but it's definitely going to be cold. A lot of these games are going to be cold. It's going to be cold in Philadelphia. It's going to be cold in Buffalo. Probably going to be cold in Arrowhead. Probably, I don't know about as cold as the East Coast or Northeast is getting right now. I mean, I can tell you right now, living in Ohio, it has been cold the last couple of weeks. Cold. But that said, I mean, we can talk about all we want about the two quarterbacks, about what it means to both of them, legacy stuff, everything ahead. I'm Vice Hassel, and as much as I want to say I am picking with, logic and reason, I'm also picking with heart, and that's probably influencing anything else. I'm taking the Ravens. Of course I am. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? The Ravens are on a mission. Lamar's on a mission. That man don't care about nothing right now. He ain't celebrating shit. He is get there. Win each game, get there. And I think this team, for the most part, resembles that. Marlon a little cheeky, but that's Marlon Humphrey for you. That man is always going to be goofy and silly on purpose. But it just feels like the Ravens' time. And it's not to discredit anything the Bills have done. I think this would have been a phenomenal AFC Championship game. The Chiefs just won 15 games, so there's nothing you can do there. But this game, it's a legacy game for both. Unfortunately, they're both top 5 quarterbacks. We know this. Both top 4. It's those two, Mahomes and Burrow. Those are the top 4. I don't want to hear no debate about anyone else. Order it how you want. Mahomes 1, and then those 3 you can do 2 through 4. Whatever. But because of that, whoever loses this, it's going to impact them. One probably more than the other. But I'll leave you with this. I'm taking the Ravens. The spread's at 1.5 for the Ravens right now, which I don't fuck with from a gambling perspective, but I think that's because everyone's also on the Ravens to win this game. So maybe Vegas is going to get cheeky with it. I mean, the likelihood of an upset, there's usually one upset in the divisional round, right? Right? Usually one. So the fact that the road team here is favored makes it feel like that. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into the gambling shit. Ravens are the favorite. I'm going to take it. Lay 1.5. I'm not going to think twice. Total in the game is 51.5, and I'm sure everyone's expecting a shootout, but with how cold it's going to be, and just the sense of the playoffs that you usually get anyway, I think 51 is going to be hard to come by. And again, the cold, how much I think this is going to be a run game after run game thing, I just think this game's going to go by relatively quick. So, I'm taking the under. I don't think they get there. Just because, if nothing else, narratively speaking stuff, I don't know. I'm talking out my ass again. Give me under 51.5. This feels, I'm going to go like Ravens. Ravens 26, Bills 24. Something like that. It's high scoring, don't get me wrong. But I don't think it'll get to 51.5. 50 maybe. If it was like 49, I'd probably take it. But at 51, something says no. Something says no. So I'm gonna say under. Staying under 51. And I leave with this one more factoid of just in general for the playoffs. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are undefeated at home this season, this 2024-2025 NFL season. Undefeated at home. Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, and the Josh Allen era have never won a playoff game against a team that won their division. Say it again. Every playoff victory that Josh Allen and the Bills have been against teams who were the 5 seed, 6 seed, 7 seed. They have not beaten anyone 4 seed or higher. And that's not to say that's their fault, because they should have won that KC game, the 13 seconds game. I don't know how the defense choked that away. They should have won that game. But the Bills have not beaten a team that has won their division. Josh Allen. One of those streaks will break. I can't wait for Sunday. And those are your 4 games. Just go over it one more time. Let's go in here over again. I have the Chiefs winning, the Chiefs cover, and over 41. I got the Lions winning, Lions cover, under 55.5. Their defense is injured as hell, sure, but I want to give them credit. I'm giving them credit. And again, DC as well. You won for it on 4th down 5 times and only scored 23 points at the end of it. I'm not buying into it too much. Eagles to win, Rams to cover, over 44.5. I think Everett just so barely, but I think they get there. And then the Ravens win, Ravens cover, under 51.5. The offenses make plays for sure, but I don't think they make enough plays. And those are my picks. That's all for this video. Thank you all for joining me on another exciting predictions thing. I am a biased Ravens fan, so I'm praying that this is our year, but I'm willing to admit that there are other teams that look better. So I guess we'll just have to see how things shake out this next week. And with that, make sure you follow me on Twitter, CanadianCatCP. Follow me on Instagram, The Blind Canadian Cat. Blue Sky link is down below as well. Hop into Discord, where I can't change the thing on Me6, because Me6 has now blocked all the shit behind paywalls, so I can't edit the fucking intro thing. So it's just gonna keep saying Letterbox. I feel sorry for anyone who joins. And then also hop into the NFL YouTube Prognosticators Facebook page. All links down below as well. Go bully my friend Justin for me. And with that, I am out. Choose peace, accept love, have big trust, and goodbye everyone. Mwah.